All right, I'm here. I made it. Sorry, I'm a little late, y'all. Sorry. Are y'all here? Because I'm here. Let me check my sound. I'm going to get right into it. Oh, boy. Wait a second. All right, checking my sound. Can y'all hear me?
All right, checking my sound.
All right. Y'all should be able to hear me. Okay. Still having them technical difficulties a little bit, but I'm still here. We had so much fun yesterday. I was like, I got to do it again today, especially to kick off Pride Month. Woohoo! All right. So, how's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's doing well. It's like everybody's going live tonight, but I'm glad I made it. So, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I hope everybody had a wonderful day, and let's just jump into things. Before we jump into the full production of like what I want to bring to you guys tonight, I want to go over some breaking news, some updates. Please excuse me. So let's go ahead and do what we do and present. So first update. This is the first update. I made a video about it, and I'm pretty sure it will be suppressed. It's a shame. Some of y'all comments are being suppressed, which is so ridiculous. Like, I really hate that. Made a video about this, guys. So let's go ahead and give a shout out to our Commander-in-Chief. They had to carry, you know what I mean? They had to pick him up. They had to, like, Rocky's cracking up. They had to, saying, like, let's look at it one more time. Yeah, it deserves a replay. It does, because we need to look at the reality of what's going on. This is the country. No, the foot is dead. Crank it up. They had to grab him. They had to pull him up. They had to pull up the president. All right, I didn't mean to hit the replay button. So of course, I'm sure there's people out there somewhere who's giving us the whole. Oh, I mean, that could happen to anybody. We all fall. Guys, it's time that we start. Can we finally be honest about what we're witnessing here? Can we? YouTube is definitely going to suppress my video. They definitely are. It's just, come on. I said at the end of the video, guys, I need y'all to share this. What's up, Sarah? She made it on time. I haven't been on the lives in a minute, but I see you catching up. And I'm going to say hi to everybody on the live. Just give me 1 sec. But I know, it's like, I said it at the end of the video. I said we need to share this video and remind people what happens when we vote for emotions. I remember when Joe Biden won the election, and that Saturday people were banging pots and pans, and they were so excited, and they were like, we did it, girl, we did it, we end racism today. Like, I was just like, what the freak world do I live in? It's gonna be nothing but worse. And that's him. He's on the ground. Do you see that? He's on the ground. This is not just about making a joke. This is serious. I heard Donald Trump said, I didn't hear it, but somebody told me Donald Trump was like, well, number one, I hope he's okay. And number two, we got to get him out of there. It's that deep. This person is signing executive orders. He is not cognitively well. I personally think, allegedly, in my opinion, that he's taking a certain medication for like Parkinson's, but they have a lot of really good, not really good. They have a lot of really progressed, upgraded medications for neurological disorders where, oh man, I hope I'm not lagging. Okay. That hasn't happened in a long time. So yeah, they have medication for that where they treat the symptoms. They can't cure it. So sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not. He's signing executive orders. We're in a war with Russia, and that's who's the commander in chief. I can't. So let me shout out everybody that's here. Rocky, this isn't showing on YouTube, but this is why I love StreamYard. I hate Pride Month. It's disgusting and repugnant. It's vile, demonic. Oh, God, I hope the lag isn't too bad. This thing is telling me that I'm lagging, and when it does that, it makes me so like annoyed. I haven't seen that in a while. It's satanic. It's nothing but pathetic political pandering just to get these ESG scores and DEI points. Yes, it is. But the thing is, it's not just to get these scores. It's like it's also for control. And there's an end game to this where we don't exist in the end game. Damn, the lag is vicious, bro. I don't like that I'm seeing a lag. I haven't seen that in so long. Let's go, girlie. What's up? Words of Paradise. What is up? Jason Holt is here. Reminds me of the launch of the Gollum game. I don't know what that is. Like I said, Sarah is here. What is up? Words of Paradise says, when Biden talks, I say the dude's tripping. That's not what I meant. It's crazy. Yes, Sarah, it is just embarrassing. And our press is just such, our president is such an old man, but you know what? Our press is even worse because they make excuses for him. They say stuff like, oh, he fell. It was what was it? It was a sandbag in the way. There was a sandbag. They're making all these excuses. Yeah, there was a sandbag there, but that's not what he fell over. You know, that's not what he fell over. It's just, I mean, he shook his head and didn't joke about it. He showed more respect than so that's what Trump did. He shook his head. No, yeah, he wouldn't joke about it. See, that's the thing, he's not gonna joke about it. I mean, because it's not even funny. It's not, right? Like, yeah, we laugh a little bit, but it's not even funny. Hey, you might like this. The idea of observing Humility Month in June, still figuring out what that looks like. Yeah. Humility Month is a good idea. That is a good idea. And we're going to talk about things like that. What's up, Harry Toe? Thank you for coming through. Harry Toe has made it through. We're going to talk about things like that. Now, another breaking news that I wanted to report to you guys was that I'm going to see if I can find it in trending. So there was a situation on Twitter with Matt Walsh was trying to now see, it's not trending. Matt Walsh was trying to show his movie, What is a Woman, right? And I did watch some of it, but I was like running around or whatever. So this is the movie. But of course, it comes with the whole visibility limited. This tweet may violate Twitter's rules against hateful conduct. And so there was a scandal today where they were saying that the Daily Wire was saying that Elon Musk, like Twitter, they went back on their excuse me, on their contract to play this movie, that they would say that a lot of people weren't going to see the movie. It wasn't going to get reach, you know, because they were playing a movie for free, and that is not going to get reach because it's hateful conduct. So they were going back and forth with Twitter. Of course, they got Elon Musk involved. Elon was like, oh, this is a mistake, right? But the people at Twitter were like, we're still doing the same thing. We're still giving it limited visibility because we haven't heard from Elon to say that it was a mistake. And still to now, this limited visibility thing is still on here. Now, the woman, I can't remember her name. It's crazy. I'm trying to look up Twitter. If anybody knows her name, maybe put it on the drop it on the comment, because I can't remember this chick's name, man. The one who was the new CEO. Here we go. Ella Irwin, and the Postman Leo would say that she resigned today. So I was at the Twitter space. of this Daily Wire situation. I was listening to what everybody was talking about the situation. They were saying that, it's not right, what's going on, whatever. The Daily Wire held the whole space about it, and they were basically complaining and everything. Of course, like I would be complaining too. And then in the space, Jeremy Boring was like, oh, breaking news, literally right now, it's coming out that today, this, Ella Irwin lady, she's not part of the team anymore. Apparently she stepped down or whatever. She's not there. If she resigned or whatever, I don't know. And so he's like, well, maybe, Elon's in the back trying to deal with the situation. Let me tell you something. And then I heard Candace say the craziest thing. Hold on, I'm sorry. I have to take a sip, guys. Thank you. Then I heard Candace say the craziest thing. We're just all waiting to see what's going on. We're waiting to see what's happening because we don't want to jump to conclusions that Elon is doing something wrong. We don't know what's going on. All right, that's not crazy. I can understand that. Because, a lot of us are upset because we know that we figured that Elon was the savior of free speech in America. And I had to go back and tweet, like, I never, ever thought Elon Musk was going to be the savior of free speech in America. Furthermore, I didn't think any human being would be the savior of free speech in America. This is what I mean about some of these mainstream conservative grifters. That was like a grifter, like, to me. I'm sorry, y'all know how I feel about Candace. Listen, she's important for what she's important for. Of course, she has something to get out, but you see how they look upon humans and they give them this this hierarchy. It's like, oh, Elon was going to save American free speech. No, I don't think that Elon was going to save American free speech. I also didn't think that Twitter was that much more free than it was before. I used to say that a man wasn't a woman on Twitter. I didn't get caught. Maybe I just didn't get caught. But there's some times where one time I was about to roast somebody, and then Twitter knows what you're saying. They're like, "You sure you want to say this?" And then once you get you sure you want to say this, it's like, never mind. And the reason why it's like, never mind, because that the rest of your tweets are going to be limited visibility because they're looking at you like, well, you're a problem. You're a threat. The fact that you asked me that question is, I already know. Listen, free speech it's your responsibility. I don't know how else to say that. Okay. Right now, Rumble seems to be like a good platform. But at the end of the day, one day, none of these platforms will be good. You see what I'm saying? So I don't expect this from any human being, especially with this issue. When it comes to this trans issue, this trans topic, they own it. This is the one that no one seems to be able to fight it appropriately. Matt Walsh is doing what he can, but people aren't really saying what they really should be saying about this, really. And it's because they're still tied down in their speech. We're going to get into that. But so Harry Toe says, you lost a lot of trust in Elon. Like, I'm not shocked. Listen, Elon still has Neuralink coming out. I feel a little weird about a guy who wants to put a chip in somebody's brain. I don't care how much you say it's to help people. They'll be able to walk. There are certain places, positions, levels that we should not even try. I'm serious. On an ethical standpoint, man has a lot of power, and just the chip, you can control somebody with that. No, there's certain things that I feel like we shouldn't cross, because who then legislates this power? That nanotech that they put in the jab, who legislates that power? We still don't know. It's just too much. So I feel like, and the fact that, like, when humans are so smart and when we say we will solve everything, and we don't think like this might be a little bit outside of my reach as a human being. Believe me, I believe in progression and new, engineering and inventions and things, but there's certain things that we should not do. There's certain things we should not do. And that, to me, is one of them. That's why, the Tower of Babel fell, because humans was like, we're going to make a tower. We're just going to go to heaven. And God was like, that's enough. All right, strike it down. Okay. Now, yes. So I figured it out. It was Twitter's VP of Trust and Safety, Ella Irwin, reportedly leaves. So I don't know if they were arguing in the back from post-millennial. So sometimes, too, this also feels like, to me, like a psyop a little bit, because why did you hire this chick then? Come on. Because when he hired her, everybody was like, yo, man, she's gonna mess everything up. She's gonna mess everything up. But I'm like, she can't possibly mess everything up right away, because why would he hire her? He literally just acquired this whole platform. Like, I think at some point everything is going to be messed up, but I just didn't think right away that it would happen, because what's the point of hiring her? So what did you make some? Did you hire her to make some conflict so you could look at the win, like the savior, the hero? I don't trust any of it. I don't. But I'll use the platform. I will say though that I'm not going to be paying for this check mark, because I don't get anything out of it anymore. The reason why I was paying for the check mark was I wanted to get my material to show. It doesn't show. I'm still having to hide links, and I'm not doing all that and paying for it. I'm not. So I will be canceling my subscription. Anything I can do to boost the channel, I will do it. I don't care. I will pay for a service. Obviously I'm not going to buy bots. That's crazy, right? But I'm not getting anything out of it, so I'm not doing it. So I'm going to get rid of it. But let's go ahead. And so that's what's going on. That was the breaking news. I did watch some of the What is a Woman, and it was pretty interesting, of course. And the fact that, and then of course at the end, his wife answers the question the same way I would answer the question. But we'll get into that at the end of the stream. So let's go ahead and talk about, first off, what made me decide to make this live, okay? To go live tonight. Well, first of all, yesterday I had so much fun with y'all. I was like, I had to do it again. So there's that. But this right here had me like, you know what? I can't. I'm tired of it. I am sick of it. I am absolutely sick of it. Okay? Like, I'm sick of people taking Jesus and making a mockery out of it. I am at that point. I'm not gonna, of course, do anything crazy, but still, I want to talk about it. Like, this is insane. It's already bad enough y'all took the rainbow, and then this is what we do. So let's look at this thread anyway, because I want to just see what they're saying. I'm not going to read the whole thread. What would Jesus do? A reflection on LGBT rights and homophobia. Here we go. Many claim to follow Jesus, the embodiment of love, compassion, and acceptance. But when it comes to LGBT rights, LGBT rights, some Christians have chosen a path of hate and persecution. Today, let's reflect on what Jesus would do in the face of homophobia. Like, you putting all this on, like, come on, stop idolizing yourself and putting your idolatry on the deity. Like, stop this. Jesus' message was clear. Love your neighbor as yourself. He embraced all without judgment or exclusion. He associated with the marginalized, offering them dignity and acceptance. Shouldn't this message guide us in our treatment of the LGBTQ community? We'll read a couple more, but y'all already know where this is going. The message that they're trying to portray here. Homophobia, discrimination, and hatred have no place in the teachings of Jesus. His ministry was marked by radical inclusivity, challenges societal norms, and embracing those who were cast aside. We must ask ourselves, are we truly following his example? Jesus never condemned or reject anyone based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. Excuse me, identity. Instead, he stood against bigotry, injustice, calling for the unity and understanding. It's time for Christians to align their actions with the true essence of his teachings. You know what I mean? It's disrespectful. So this third paragraph here, when you say, So when you say this third paragraph, this notion of, you're not following Jesus because you just mean. Jesus loved everybody and he didn't care and he just loved everybody. Yeah, Jesus loves everyone. Yes, but he doesn't say to stay in your same state of mind. He doesn't say, I love you, so go ahead and keep being a criminal. He loves you. Jesus loved enough to show people the way, the path. For anybody who's a Christian, right? You know that Jesus is the path to God. Jesus is God. That's what he is for us, right? God never said you just could go ahead and do whatever, be however, and because I love you, I'm just going to watch you destroy yourself. You love your child, right? So you wouldn't let your child eat cake all day long. It's just that simple. It really is. And then to say, instead, he stood against bigotry and injustice. I'm confused as to when that happened. Did y'all ever hear of Sodom and Gomorrah? Like, I'm not trying to be funny. Like, we're going to call it names of bigotry. I don't know that bigotry is really necessarily described in the Bible, but Jesus, God, when you see the Trinity, right? The Trinity, so it's all one, right? Of the Godhead. So God did burn down a whole city for their actions, their really perverted ways. Okay, because he had to discipline them. Okay, so this notion of oh, Jesus just loves us and we could do whatever we want and we're proud about it. Okay, pride comes before the fall. Pride is you're so proud and being self-serving. And even the word pride can come from good intentions. When somebody started off with a good idea with something and then they're getting all this like celebration about it, and they're getting all these accolades and they say, yeah, I'm good at that. That's me. I'm doing all that's pride, right? So we do have to stay humble, humility. And we'll figure out at the end, like what are some actions maybe that we could do of humility this month. Dig this. I have no problem talking to anybody. And I will tell you, listen, I'm never going to just make fun of you for being who you are. You're going through something right now. Because anybody who's going to come at me like this, they're probably more than likely radical in their expression of their LGBT, So I'm sure they're probably, like I said, radical, just extreme, all in your face. So I will talk to whoever and tell them, Jesus doesn't hate you. I would never spread that message that Jesus hates you. That's insane. That goes against everything I am as a Christian. But he also says that he loves you enough that you can live to your full potential. And in that Bible is life instructions on how to do so. That's it. So that's what made me, and then that's why I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go live just about this whole thing and how we got here. Sorry. What's the AIR? Is it the Jesus that's the AIR? I bet it probably is. On the edge of something, still relatively unregulated. Yes, that's how I feel about the chip, the AI, a lot of it. Jesus loves me so much, he died for me. Yes, and so much he wants what's best for me. Yes, which means being willing to tell me hard truths I don't want to hear. It's just that simple. Yes, it is, Sarah. That's what it is. But we're living in an age, in a time where telling people hard truths is, you're attacking me and you don't want me to exist. Do you guys know that there's like a fat coalition, like a national association of fat people that are trying to make things more inclusive for fat people, and they complain about things. I remember one girl one time, she said that the MRI machine was too small and it wasn't inclusive for a fat person. This was like 4 years ago when I heard something like that. I was like, I just started cracking up. But I started cracking up when I heard that. I was like, she's tripping. Like, nobody's just gonna make big MRI machines because you're complaining. But then New York last week they signed a bill. New York City Mayor Eric Adams saying that they have to make apartments inclusive enough for fat people, to make it that fat people can accommodate themselves in these apartments. In New York apartments, right? As small a New York apartment can be, that's what they have to do. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So what if the tub isn't big enough? So now the fat person can sue the landlord and say, well, if they say like, well, the tub isn't big enough for you, so you can't get this apartment. Oh, that's discrimination. And now I'm going to take, I'm going to sue you to oblivion. Amazing. Pride and proud are different. You're right. When I say pride, it's like self-serving. Of course, you're proud of your kids. They did good in school or something like that. Trust me, we know the difference here. We do. But a lot of people go sometimes with look at it. There's a whole month called Pride. A whole month called Pride. Yes, Jason. There's no way with those turn of this 20th century buildings that will work. That's the point. They know it won't work. But it's all to transfer the wealth. What wealth, right? Owning property is the way that the middle class can live. What do you say? Live good. They still have to work hard to get it. So that's the way that the middle class can actually attain some more wealth and some generational wealth and pass it on to their children. That's how they have to get you. You own the property now. Oh, you didn't make it you didn't accommodate it for fat people. So now we have to sue you. And so we take that away from you. And who gets it? Well, BlackRock, the investment firms. That's how they're trying to transfer everything. It's all connected through this communism, through emotions. Sick. And Harry, I had a lot of fun too on yesterday with y'all. Like, I really did have a lot of fun. But let's get into a little bit of how we got here. Okay. Because the thing is about this whole situation is that I'm not a person who's just I I like the inconvenient truth, but I'm not just gonna say they're crazy and these homosexuals or whatever they have no reason for even complaining about anything, blah 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 blah. Right? I'm not gonna do that because there was a time where there was something that happened and they had every right to complain. Okay, and I think that happens with all communities. Like even the Black community, they went through something. They did. Sadly, what happens is generations after hold on to that thing, and then now they make themselves the victim because of the thing, and then it perverses itself into something totally different. So what am I talking about? So I'm going to share with you a little clip from the 80s, so a documentary just showing what happened when HIV. What's up, Jeremy? What's going on? What happened when HIV hit the scene? So I'm going to show you a few clips and then we'll discuss that part. Now I wanted to go to We Were Here. We Were Here is a very deep documentary. It is. Hold on a sec. Did it? All right, bet it shared it. All right, let me see. So this one I'm like this much. Might have to just go ahead and do it. Okay,
It was just ending and the gay revolution was beginning, and it was very exciting. It was very sexually charged.
Okay, so trigger warning, you guys are going to see some things. I'm not going to show everything. We're not going to watch this whole documentary, but you are going to see some images that can be triggering.
People were very idealistic. There was a sort of revolutionary feeling about the place, and people were able to be free for the first time.
Obviously, there's a lot of, you know what I mean? Everybody was excited because they had a liberation. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't born yet around this time, but from the documentaries that I watched, people were liberated and they were like, we're going to do whatever we want. We're going to answer to the flesh. And they answered to the flesh.
People were also very conscious of the political implications of what we were doing. And particularly after Harvey Milk and George Moscone were killed, it was a profound political shift in the city. And so despite the tragedies of the murder, gay people felt powerful. And so there was this great optimism despite the tragedy of losing these two great men.
And I can understand how that could be painful, but let's see if we could kind of go to, there we go. I already see it. Maybe talking about We Were Here is like much better. I probably really should have.
And it was just, we were having our family at the time, and it was so frightening. We just couldn't even talk about it.
Our first child, Alex, he had on his ear a little red mark that anybody else, any grandmother in Iowa would have said, that's just a stork bite. But I remember looking at that saying, could that be Kaposi's?
I will add fillers, but I just...
Connie's attitude toward that was interesting and was educational for me. She saw the unusual time as the time where doctors weren't at risk, and she saw it as part of the history of medicine to take care of patients even if it put you at risk. That was part of the profession.
Wasn't feeling well today. Got up late and missed going to the concert with Randy and Doug.
The patients were exactly our age.
So this is HIV. This is a patient with actually full-blown AIDS, because you can tell by the way the person looks. They're very frail, almost looks malnourished, and all the bumps, you know, that's a Kaposi sarcoma.
Almost strangely, all those other ways that we tend to separate ourselves meant very little when you realize that the patients had gone to the same schools that you did. They listened to the same music. They went to the same restaurants. So they were really us. So it made it impossible to really separate oneself, which.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to find the We Were Here trailer, because I can't even, like, it's just so annoying, because We Were Here really just is what we should be watching. But we'll look at the trailer. The trailer should actually.
If you had a bus ticket, it better be saying San Francisco, because that was the place to come.
I think
You're
a
gonna
lot
answer
of
the
us
question.
came out here because we didn't quite fit where we were.
I like the people here. They just seem more open. And I always wanted to meet a nice blonde surfer.
If you took a bunch of young men and said, have as much sex as you can have, how much sex would they have? A lot of sex. All of America was feeling very confident that you could be much more sexual, and that was okay.
'81 was a big year. That is when everything changed. I remember looking in the window of Star Pharmacy, and there were these little Polaroid photographs. Watch out, guys, there's something out there.
The first time I heard about AIDS, I think it was called the gay cancer. We had friends who were dying right at the beginning of the epidemic.
I was hanging blood one day in the hospital, and the infectious disease fellow came in and said, Eileen, why don't you put gloves on? We don't know what this is.
How are you getting it? Who are you getting it from? Who's giving it to who?
Everybody was reading the obituaries because they went from like this to like this.
Our principal response was food banks and care programs, and it was a response that America should be proud of.
It changed people's view of the gay community in a huge way.
Again and again, in every situation, there's lesbians there leading the fight.
None of my friends are around from the beginning. So I want to tell their story as much as I want to tell my story.
This documentary, I would say, is so it is good, man. It's good because it's full of information. It had to be a sad time. It had to be scary. You know, I felt so bad for these people watching this and what they went through. I even made an episode about it. This is early day episodes where I said that we should thank a lot of these homosexuals from the 80s because they stood their ground on a lot of things. I'm about to get there. But it is, I mean, I think maybe we should have like a watch party of We Were Here because these are human beings, right? So all of a sudden, and I know, like, I get it, lifestyle choices, right? But think about living in a time where your lifestyle, you didn't equate lifestyle choices to dying, okay? I'm not saying it was right, but I'm just saying that they didn't think about it that way. All they're thinking about is, I just want to have a good time. We already know our values and everything, right? We're just going to tell a story. And so that's all they were doing. They were just like having a good time, a lot of a good time. One of the gentlemen's, his name was Michael Cahan, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I'm sure he's passed away. He said that he had about 3,000 partners. Bro, it was too much of a good time though. Like, cause I would have been like, now wait a second, because at the same time too, people were catching the clap, that's what they used to call it, the clap, herpes, they were getting all this other stuff. So I kind of would have been like, I mean, you know, what if something happens that I don't know. I'm just saying. But all of a sudden, young healthy people, they call themselves healthy because when they looked at getting the clap or whatever, or syphilis, they were like, I'm just going to get a penicillin shot. I'll be fine. I'll just get a penicillin. Like I'll just get a shot and I'll just be right back at it in an hour. Like, whoa, calm down, right? But all of a sudden they started dying. And they were healthy in a sense of they would work out you know, they would come on, they were gay, right? So we know like the classic gay men used to work out, make sure they look good in their shorts or whatever, and they were dying. All of a sudden, they were showing up with Kaposi sarcoma, a cancer that you don't see, they didn't see in the US. It really they see it in the Mediterranean. And then all of a sudden, young men were dying from dysentery. Dysentery. You remember with dysentery from Oregon Trail, and you know, you would be going with your oxen, and all of a sudden they would be like, you died from dysentery. Like, yeah, they were getting dysentery. Sarah, I'm gonna get right into that. Y'all go ahead. You know I'm gonna get into that. And so the head of the CDC at the time, I believe it was the CDC in San Francisco, she was like, we need to find out like what's going on, because there's a lot of young gay men that are all of a sudden just dying. Where they would die, like it would be like they would come in to the hospital, like, I don't know, I feel weird, I have patches on my tongue or whatever. Okay, it's all right, we're gonna give you some antibiotics, you should be fine. Like 3 weeks later, a month later, these people were dead. Okay, this thing was like a bullet. And so now she was trying to figure out like what's going on. So she said she went to the bathhouses to check it out, like how dirty are they? And then she said she saw some of the sickest things. She says she saw one time like a man just laying there with a bucket of Crisco next to him. So she was like, we figured we should start testing the Crisco. They were testing the Crisco because they didn't know what was and it was happening like in New York. It was just happening. People were dying. And it's a shame because these people were shunned. It's scary, right? So let's look up real quick. I'm sorry, y'all seeing my emails real quick. So, you know what I mean? Oh, I didn't share it yet. Yeah, let's just look up real quick, like what a patient would normally look like who had HIV. So that's what I'm telling you. The trigger warning for sure. And so this is like families crying, you know, I mean, this man is, it like, my God, like, I mean, it was bad. It was bad. And at least this person who's passing away has his family with him. These people were shunned. A lot of these people were shunned to the point of like their family were like, first of all, from them being homosexual, their family was like, yo, I don't even want to mess with you like that. Like, I don't even want to talk to you. Then the family would find out that they had HIV, and then they really were like, I'm not even going to see him. There was a hospital that opened up, and there's a documentary about that called 5B or something. I think it's called 5B. I watched it. It's about the nurses from San Francisco General that started a new ward basically for HIV patients, because the patients were being treated. And it was something new. The patients were being treated like they would put them in a room. They wouldn't change them. They wouldn't change the bed. They would kind of toss the tray in the thing like, here you go, and never even come back and get the tray. But it was a scary time because people were dying, you know? So these nurses and the doctors, they said, we're going to treat them like human beings. You know, they would give them hugs and everything. Let me see if I could find even the nurses from, because this part of the story is important to talk about, because it's the humanity, right? So let me see. And why this part of the story was important to me was because when I was paying attention to it, it was around COVID time when everybody was talking about nurses were being so narcissistic. Oh, I didn't sign up for this. No, yes, you did sign up for this. This is a joke compared to 1985. Okay. So San Francisco General, let me see. I think it was 4B nurses, HIV. It should, let's see if it works. And yeah, like these people just have to don everything just to go in and talk to the patient. But it's like, there we go. Yeah, they were there. They were like the founding nurses of that project for, you know, San Francisco General, like 4B. They were the founding nurses, those two. And they were pioneers. I'm going to keep it real. They were pioneers, these people. Why were they pioneers? Like I said, they didn't know what they were walking into. And they treated these people with respect. It was sad. Some of the footage I've seen, people moaning there in pain, they're dying, and then they're trying to give them medicine. It's just so sad. And this particular nurse, now, so for everybody who was all, during the COVID, like, oh, I have kids, I'm not going to the COVID ward, or look at me, I have a mask on. It's been a long day, and look at my lines on my faces because of my mask. I was irritated with every last nurse, or nurses who were saying, you guys need to stay at home because it's too much on me. I can't work this hard all day. I had nurses saying that. I'm about to report these people outside having a party. I've been busting my behind on the med surg floor, and I'm like, you people are sick. That's not what we go to work for, to tell people you need to sit down because I don't feel like working hard. It is what it is what we signed up for. And it was a respiratory disease, okay? And you guys are pansies, because we had in 1985 something that was taking people out. They didn't know what it was, to the point where they were testing Crisco, to the point where working on this ward, they could have lost their life. And this lady right here, she actually had a needle prick, okay? She went to go, I believe, prime a line, and the needle hit the gentleman, like there was blood on it, and it went through, and it got her finger, right? It got her finger, and then she said, they were like, okay, they were like, oh, it's your first time? Oh, it's okay. They were trying to calm her down, but the fever came. She had gotten a fever. Once your body starts to respond like that, you get a fever. As a nurse, I would have known, like, this thing is inside of me, and it was inside of her. And so the other nurse had to come, like the DON had to come and tell her, like, yo, like, your test came back HIV positive, and she caught HIV. And so she was thinking, like, am I ever going to have children and everything? And I don't know if she adopted kids. She does have children. She's still alive. She went back to work. She went back to work after she had to get herself together, but she went back to work after such a thing happened to her. Okay. So it was insane. It was insane. And then, so now, Sarah, we'll get into Dr. Fauci. Oh, I'm mad that I called him doctor. Please. Let me just pull up a little bit of Fauci. I'm spelling his name wrong. Fauci, HIV, this quote, savior, right? This man, Fauci, is such... I have to be careful how I talk about Fauci, because for my own sanity, for my own conscience, because I want to say very bad things about this guy. Very bad things about this guy. Like, what I think about Fauci is not safe. So I'm just going to leave it there. I don't think about Fauci. Because the fact that there's a human being walking around, a man like him, an evil person like him, walking around and just fine, I have to believe that God will deal with him in the end for me to know that things will be okay. Fauci is the worst. The worst. And so they called him as if he was some savior. Like, they make him a savior for the gay community, for HIV, right? And he was anything but. Now, Fauci, what he did was, so AZTs, I saw it on the chat. I'm going to come back to chat too. AZT, a drug that was killing people before it was doing anything else. Antivirals they pretty much kill cells. That's what they do. That's what they do. So you can apply that to anything from Desvir, but damn, I shouldn't have said that name. That name almost caught me my whole channel. But anyway, that's what antivirals do. They kill cells. So AZT was a drug that was killing people. He fudged the studies. He would make it that, like, before people had their blood drawn or whatever, he would give them blood transfusions to make it seem like, the medicine was working, but it wasn't. It was not the medicine that was working. It was like, when you get a blood transfusion, you're going to feel strong, but the medicine was killing people. Sometimes I wonder if it's not the med that killed people more than it was the disease. And I could go into AIDS and talk way deeper about AIDS, but that's not this video, right? But so the point was that these the men, the homosexuals, the gay men who were dying, who were being erased, they also were treated pretty badly. You know, it was like, oh, he touched that table, burned the table. Like, it was like that. People didn't know what it was. So you had people, at the time, there was like gay bashing from what I saw in, you know, the documentaries. And you had some conservative Republican legislators who were like, we need to test them before they even go to the restaurants, before they get in a taxi. They should have tattoos on them that says HIV positive, or that they should say homosexual and stuff. So just really authoritarian type of like laws. And these gay men, they got together and they marched and they were like, no, we're not going to test just to do every little thing. We know we're being erased, but this is taking away liberty and freedom. All right. And so during COOF, when I'm seeing everybody get tested to do every little thing and going along with it, and I'm thinking of these guys, and I'm like, dang, man, I'm glad they fought, or else we would have been taking HIV tests just to go to the ShopRite, you know, to the market, you know. So they did fight. They fought, and they fought with Fauci too, because they were saying like, you're just testing AZT, but what about Bactrim? There's like all these other drugs. The thing about the homosexual community is it is a diverse community. It's not just like, oh, it's just one set of people. You have lawyers, neurologists, gynecologists, all kinds. You have all kinds of people who work in all different spaces. So they started coming up with their own treatments. They started finding their own ways. They started figuring out too, if you build the immune system, okay, you won't, you might get a chance to beat it. Michael Cahan, the one who ended up dying, he later on said that, he had came out with a system of like making smoothies and drinking certain like juices and herbs and everything that helped him for a while, but he was pretty far along. But there was a lady who said that she followed his method, and that's how she saved her son. You know, that's how she saved her son, was through his method. So these people, they were thinking, and so they were telling Fauci, like, you need to test Bactrim. So then he gave him as a gimme, he tested Bactrim, and that was it. But everything else, what really worked for this disease is it's still not FDA approved. If you've ever seen, what is it called? Somebody drop it on the chat. What is it? The Texas Buyers Club. Oh my gosh. Let me just look it up, right? So, because that is pretty much about this whole like topic. Was it Texas Buyers Club? Dallas. About Texas Buyers Club. This movie's pretty good. With Matthew McConaughey. And so when I first heard about this movie, I thought it was just about, I don't know what I thought it was about. Matthew McConaughey gets HIV in this movie. His character gets HIV. And then he goes outside of America, but he eventually goes outside of America, and he starts to take real medication to help him. And he's beating it, and he's trying to bring it back. And the FDA tried to stop him at every end. Like, you can't bring back these vitamins, okay, to America. They're not approved by us, the government. Abolish all of these agencies, all of them. Fauci is a whole nother person. It's not just the HIV that makes me hate him. There's a lot more to it. Our autoimmune system disorders, a lot of that is exacerbated by his policies. Just gonna leave it right there. So we know they went through something, right? They did go through something. I get it. I don't find any joy in telling that story. I don't. Your lifestyle choices are yours. I don't think that y'all should have been outside doing all that stuff outside and everything, you know, but I can't say God, it is against against my religion for me to say that God is going to deal with you here on earth. No, that's not how that goes. So to see what they went through, all the bashing, everything, I think that's terrible. But it ended. Like, it did end. We got better. I'd like to think that my generation came along and we were, pretty like balanced with things. We made fun of some people, but we didn't really hurt people. We were realistic. I'd like to think that, right? So I'm just saying it got better. It progressed. We were in a different place. But the media has to remind you that there's still a problem and there's still a conflict, right? So the next person I'm going to bring up, sad what happened to him, but story is not, it's not really, I hate to do this. I hate to do this. But Matthew Shepard, I remember the story of Matthew Shepard, okay? And it was sad. Matthew Shepard was found on this thing on the side of the road, like a gate, a wooden gate. And they said the man was so bloodied up, so beaten up, so bad, you couldn't tell who he was. Like his family, his eyes were swollen, everything. Like you couldn't tell who he was. And his family, it was sad. I remember that story because, you don't know the story, Harry Toe? I remember this story because I was 9 years old, about 9-10 years old when this happened. Because Ellen DeGeneres made this her whole mission. She was crying and everything. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can look up Ellen DeGeneres for you. The story goes that he went to a bar and, yep, I remember she was crying about it. She couldn't stop crying. Which, of course, this Anne Heche, they were together around that time. Which, of course, you can't blame somebody for crying. And so the story goes that Matthew Shepard went to a bar and and then some guys saw him and they knew he was gay, so they beat him really bad. They beat him to a bloody pulp just because he was gay. And I remember hearing that story and that story being drilled in my head from I was a little girl. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, that is so horrible. Like, why would somebody do this to somebody just because they're gay? I mean, that's, never mind anything else. Why would they do this? Why are they that concerned? It wasn't until about 2 years ago when I'm going through YouTube, found some old episode on YouTube about Matthew Shepard when journalism, I guess in the 90s, somewhere in the early 2000s, still had let me see if it's 2020. They still had a little bit of it was 1998. Excuse me. They still had a little bit of integrity. And they said, excuse me, I saw the report. They still had a little bit of integrity. They really reported this correctly. They did not beat this boy just because he was gay. Okay. It's already bad enough he's been beaten. But they knew the kid and there was something that happened with some drugs or something. Like if I can't remember, Jeremy's leaving. Oh, okay. All right, Jeremy. And I'm going to come to the chat, guys. I am. Yeah. It wasn't just because he was gay. It was like, there was a real, let me see if this kind of goes into it.
Tonight, the story the nation is talking about. A gay college student leaves a bar with two men he just met.
Aaron and Russ said, let's pretend like we're gay and we'll rob him and take his money.
The next day, Matthew Shepard is found beaten beyond recognition.
My friend was begging for his life.
His body lashed to a fence and displayed
Now,
like a trophy.
Do you think they were proud of what they did?
I don't see any other reason why they would have hung him like that if they weren't.
John Quinones.
Okay, no. This isn't the one that I'm talking about. That was the fear mongering. That was the fear mongering. Matthew Shepard, the real story. I have no choice but to. It's probably not on here anymore. They probably took it off. Yeah, they probably took it off, man. Because I just don't see where it's at, man. Let's see if he's saying anything. This is 1 minute and 49 seconds. Associated Press is not going to do it justice. That's crazy. I think 48 hours, maybe it was. I don't.
Matthew didn't deserve any of this. And I'm so ashamed that I was ever a part of this. He was a human being. He was a son. He was a brother. He was a friend. He had many people that loved him, and his life mattered. And I think about Matthew every single day of my life.
We encourage everyone to atone for what they've done and to act out of kindness for others. And it's my hope that that would include everyone from Matt's assailants through to every other person in society. But it's not our forgiveness he should be seeking. We're really not focused on this case anymore. The jurisprudence on this case has ended. We're focused on the next case, the one we hope.
All right. So I can't find the thing. And it's so frustrating because this is what they do. So yeah, Associated Press is crap. So they shouldn't have killed the guy, right? But they were all like on meth or something. And they tried to steal his wallet. They were trying to steal from him. And they went too far. That's not an excuse, but it is the reason. It wasn't just because he was gay. They pumped this into our faces and they used that boy and made us think that two people saw him sashaying down the street and that they just ended him just because he was doing that. And really there's stories that one of them might have even had relations with him before. Of course, the guy denied it the whole time, but I'm just saying. So you see the propaganda. So what happened was like, okay, this is the problem is with victimhood. And when we're trying to get the communities, there is a time where a bad thing happens. Like we have the HIV situation that happened in the homosexual community, but then things started to taper down. Things started to get better. So we need a new crisis. So we never let a good crisis go to waste. Let's go back and look at the chat and then we'll fast forward to today. All right, let's see what y'all talking about. Because I didn't even, y'all was really like, so, all right, so you were at, so, I can't take Jeremy to, he looks gay. Like, then we did talk about the AZT. Jeremy said he wants to make the soprano quote. I felt bad for these people. Yeah, of course. You know, who wouldn't? I mean, it is heartbreaking. It is sad. You grew up in the 80s. I did too, but like I was like 3 growing up in the 80s, 3 or 4. I remember a lot of this. Okay, Sarah, you do. It was insane when I found these documentaries. I was like, whoa, all of this happened. We were told as a kid in the 80s, anyone could get AIDS, which is true. But remember Ryan White when he caught it, and then families were like, he can't come to the school no more. They had to teach him through the phone. It was there was a lot. Yes, the Fauci book, we did talk about this. Jason Bolt says the HIV and AIDS epidemic has similarities to a recent, yes, it does. Herpes radiated out San Francisco in the 60s because women were encouraged to give it up. Wow. And then y'all were talking about the book. Yep, that book, Harry Tove, that book, Lord, gay or straight, what it really should have emphasized for all of us was how important celibacy and fidelity are, but no, we passed no fault divorce instead. Did that what we passed? But really, abstinence. Remember when they used to say that back in the 90s? Like, abstinence is the only way. Like, they used to say things like that. They don't say that anymore. It would never. A condom stops moose. Nah, yeah, but nah, I don't know. Crisco, yep. Like, and what you said? I don't even want to know about the Crisco. Yeah, they were testing the Crisco. Condom isn't nearly the same thing as abstinence. Us straight guys owe a bit of an apology for our frivolities as well. Yep. I don't know. It's just, yeah, they do stop. Abstinence is the best because when you really think about it, like, of course you should put the condom on, of course. But if you know somebody has something, you're not gonna be like, well, the condom should be on. You know, we're gonna be like, nope, I'm okay. Right. So, Harry told nurses are good, but the good ones are leaving. Shout out to the VIPs. I learned from the older nurses. The good ones are leaving. There's a lot of self-serving behavior in nursing. There really is. But I still work with some good nurses. My concern is too much of technique. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and just keep on going. Dr. Evil, let me see. Yeah, Jeremy came through. Yeah, the puppy dogs. We talked about the Dallas Buyers Club. Oh, let me see. The Hogan family did an episode on AIDS acceptance. I remember seeing that years ago on TV. Yeah, there was a lot of that too, AIDS acceptance. So that's what I'm saying. We had gotten a little better. We did. And yes, there was so much more to the story that people didn't know. And it was a shame, as usual, that is to feed the narrative. The AP is crap. Real evil is real. It doesn't matter who humans do bad things. And so many people to this day believe Shepard was killed because he was Swishy had me laughing. Yes, really, of course, to this day. I didn't figure it out until about 2 years ago when I saw this report that I can't find now on YouTube. When I saw this lady do this report on the story in full detail, and I'm like, what? It was drilled in my head that he was ended because he was gay. And it works well for the narrative. Today, what we're watching with all of this, with pride, with the pride, with everything, with what is a woman, with all of it, right? So this is what it comes to. You can't give people an inch because they take, what's up, Gorillas, Random Thoughts? We're going through the history of homosexuals and, the AIDS situation and the Matthew Shepard story that was fed to us the wrong way, and kind of how we're getting here today. And it's like a fast, synopsis of how we're getting here today. I mean, obviously there's way more. But today, it's all transcended. Thank you for coming through, Harry. So I'm about to end this shortly. I am. It has all transcended. So it got to a point where, okay, in 2011, California was the first state that was doing this whole gay marriage thing. And a lot of people were against it, and they were called all kinds of bigots and names. Today, I know homosexuals who say that they probably shouldn't have did it. I understand a civil union or something be under by law. The reason by law, I understand that you should be able to say that this person is who I would want to deal with my situation if anything happens to me, and nobody should be able to override it. You know why? Because a lot of those men, when they died of HIV, a lot of them talk about stories where the families came back and took the bodies and they buried the people, and then they said, you can't come to the funeral. Mind you, the family didn't talk to the person for 6-7 years, and then they were living with this person for the 6-7 years, but now they couldn't even come to the funeral, and then they get all the possessions, they get everything. The person, the living partner, they couldn't even keep a picture of the person. So I get that. You should be able to say, no, this is my partner in a sense, and I'm not saying marriage, but by law, they have a right. This is how we're going to do things. Okay. But it is not marriage, because marriage is between a man and a woman, and it states that in the Bible. The choice of words was wrong, but a lot of people said that, they called them bigots and everything. And I remember seeing old footage of my pastor who I watch now, who he says from back in the day, he was like, we need to fight this in California. This was a 2011 sermon that he was doing. And he was saying, we need to fight this in California because if it happens here, it's just going to go national. What starts here always goes national. And it's true. And what happened in 2014? Obama went ahead and made it like a federal thing where everybody could just do it. And he gave them an inch, and it went too far. I don't know about giving no inch. I'm pro-freedom just as long as that freedom doesn't infringe on the rights of others. That's the thing. And a lot of people were saying back then, like, okay, so what's the big deal? They want to get married. What's the big deal? Because nobody could foresee today how far it goes with the liberty aspect. It should be, like Sarah says, simple contracts, easy and cheap. Handle that stuff by contract. Yes. Okay. But I don't think government has any role in marriage at all. Shrug. I can understand why you say that. And so in theory, in a good world, government could have control, could have not necessarily control, but they could enshrine true marriage, right? But they do too much. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're right, because people are corrupt. And so now we move on to today. Now we move on to today, where what did they do in December 2022? They what did they say? It's hard for me because gay marriage, they made it like, they didn't make it legal. They solidified it. I don't even know what they call themselves doing with it. Remember, they were all happy. The Marriage Act, the Marriage Act, the Equality in Marriage Act, they were basically enshrining gay marriage or different marriage or interracial marriage. We need to do this because the bigots are going to try to take away our marriage. They're going to try to take away our marriage. Yeah, black people, they're coming for you too and all this. And I'm like, this is not what it's about. I go back and I look at that bill where they did this thing with the Marriage Act, and all it says was, persons, and I see it, persons. You can't discriminate against person's marriage. You can't discriminate for LGBT reasons, person's marriage. I said, this is where the pedo comes in, because it transcends. I said, this is where the pedo comes in, because now all you need is a gay man to marry a 12-year-old boy, right? And there you go. And nobody could, who you can't break it apart now, but because of this federal bill, right? I know what it's about. It has to transcend. We already did this before about the gay marriage. So why are we doing it again? And this is why the inch, you can't give the inch. Like you can't. Sadly, you can't. This is the time. This is the world we live in now. And this is when, here we go. Look at what this guy puts. And I don't care if he probably did it for likes. Hold on, sorry. He probably did it for likes. Pride Month is not just for gays, trans, and MAPS. No matter your color, creed, sexual orientation, or however you were born, be proud of who you are. First of all, stop putting color and stuff. I hate that. I really hate that. I remember when Justin Timberlake said at the Grammys, if you're black, brown, trans, queer, you're unique, you're different, your life matters. I'm like, what? Don't lump me into all this confusion. This when I started to look at things a little odd. This guy puts in MAPS. What's MAPS? Minor attracted people. Pedophile. That's a pedophile. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we promoting? So is this pride? What is this here? I'm not going to play the whole.
N'est pas esclave de vos peurs que vous tentez insidieusement de venir jeter dans mon camp. Ma peau est un plexiglas. On s'y voit dans la glace.
My skin is plexiglass. Disturbing. A man shows children his, and denounces white privilege, you see, as part of a performance at the Quebec City Museum of Civilization's new Love Me Gender, LGBTQ, whatever exhibit, because a black trans woman preceded my route. I can emancipate myself tonight at the museum. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. Okay. And this is why it's all ideology now. This is why I say when I say like whatever the mainstream definition of black is, I'm not that because it's ideology. It's ideology. It's now we're all lumped in together as some ideology that's fighting white privilege. And then I'm glad I woke up. I'm so glad I woke up. Because I keep trying to tell, and I said it to black folk, like, y'all need to stop letting them dangle racism in front of you and say, we're doing this for racism and we're going to beat whiteness and white supremacy. And all they do is dangle this. And then you vote for some of the most vilest things that's going to happen in this country. You bring in the communism. Stop this. Okay. It's terrible. This is what it's become. So we've gone from actual people dying who might have needed some dignity to some guy with saran wrap who's taking off the saran wrap to show his penis to kids. And then people bring their kids to this. It's too much. It is too much. I'm wrapping it up. There's a thing I tried to I must have really, it's not funny. Oh yeah, this is when he was getting lost. All right, anyway, so yeah, everything with the flag, the royals, we are welcome in our new home. We got Argentina's national airline announces first transgender pilot in South America. This is what it's about now, y'all. And don't tell me I have a first transgender pilot. I'm getting off the plane. I'm getting off the plane. And if you make me stay on that plane, I'm going to say that you kidnapped me. Seriously. Here we go. LGBTQ people have high rates of ending thoughts and ending attempts, studies show, but no one knows how many LGBTQ people die by ending each year because death investigators do not collect data on sexuality or gender identity. Yeah, because why do I care about who you slept with? We have a month that is celebrating who people are sleeping with and celebrating delusion. Amazing. There's always some big man. That's a man. I don't care what it says. Here we go. U.S. Department of Mike Belcher says, did I share it with y'all? All right. Just wanted to make sure because I can see me going off. Federal Department of Grooming. Everyone in the school community should feel valued for who they are, free to be their authentic self. Our message to LGBT, whatever, teachers, staff, and students, here we go. Happy Pride Month. This is what they're doing in the schools. This is what they're doing in schools. Let's look at this real quick clip of what makes the man.
Well, I'm not even talking about social context. I'm just trying to start by getting to the truth,
Yeah, I mean, I'm really uncomfortable with that language of like getting to the truth again in social life.
Why is that uncomfortable?
Because it sounds actually deeply transphobic to me. And if you keep probing, we're going to stop the interview.
If I probe about what the truth is,
you keep invoking the word truth, which is condescending and rude. I'm saying to you,
how is the word truth condescending and rude?
Why don't you tell me what your truth is? And you're walking on 30 seconds more of thin ice before I get up.
I'd be like, you're just gonna have to get up. I mean, that's how much they can't take the truth. That's why I said, make the truth inconvenient again. You see how the truth is an attack? The truth, that was making him so mad. He was shaking. He couldn't take it. The truth. And then, here we go. His pride. Here we go. Some pride.
I know. Hi, Dylan. I know you won't pay attention.
Hi, Dylan. I know you won't pay attention to the Dylan movie.
I know, as usual, I'm just a 42-year-old trans post-op girl who's wanting to celebrate with the Princess Ball / Princess Party. Look, I know it's most likely never going to happen.
It's trans.
I mean, I'm realistic and everything.
This is pride. 200 people, 100 people post-op days, of girlhood, okay? And we go here. Trans. There we go. Pride. Important reminder. Football is for everyone. Who said it wasn't? What's going on? I don't care who you slept with. You want to go play football? Go play football. I don't need to know who you were having sex with last night. Okay. Here we go. For Glamour Magazine. Pride. Oh, we got a male pregnant. No, you have a narcissistic effer who's going to raise a child. Lord have mercy. Pride. Right? And to go back to this person here doing all of this.
Miss Mulvaney, you're not paying any attention to these videos.
Not paying attention to these videos. Those videos were for Dylan Mulvaney. All right, so we're going to bring it all. We're going to wrap it up. So we're going to end this. That person was making the video for Dylan Mulvaney. This person we have to now celebrate. Pride. They are living in their true self, right? And the person says he's also autistic, okay? A lot of people identify as autistic now too. There's this mesh between autism and trans now with identifying and all this confusion. It's wrong, but they're doing to people with cognitive disorders. Not everybody has autism though. A lot of these people are just identifying. I've heard people have perfectly fine conversations and they say, I identify as autistic. You can't do that, okay? You can have a perfectly fine conversation. You're not autistic. Anyway, so that's something that we should celebrate what we just saw there, right? We are affirming delusions. That person is on the brink of, well, he's already having a mental breakdown. You saw the footage. You see how he's acting. So what is that? He needs a little bit of Zyprexa probably and some good therapy and find out, how did we get here? What are you lacking in life that makes you feel like you need this attention and you're trying to get to who? Dylan Mulvaney. Because Dylan Mulvaney had 365 days of girlhood, right? And this person saying, I just had 151 days of post-op. I don't even believe that person's post-op, to be honest. And Dylan, I want you to get my attention. And instead of somebody saying, let's find the nearest psych hospital to take this person to and find out what's going on, they say, we should affirm this and we should celebrate this. These companies, to bring it all to a full circle, yes, we started off with a problem, but we progressed, we got better, we got accepting, and we got loving. And this is where we're at today. We got live, go ahead and live and let live. And here we are today, because now they won't let us live and let live, right? They won't. And this is a fracture in this country. It is, because you have two unstoppable forces that they're butting heads. You have people who are saying, you have to not believe your eyes, your God-given eyes. And you see me, I'm big here, I have a big beard, I'm a man, but you have to accept me as a woman. Beard at all. You have to deny your God-given eyes. I'm a woman, and you will treat me as such. And society will bend for me. Then you have, that's some serious narcissism. That is backed by some evil. But then you have people, not just about being Christian either, but who are like, but they are waking up and saying, like, hey, wait a second, now something's going on. Something's going on. And I'm not going to see that this is not a woman. This is not a woman. There's nothing you can tell me that's not a woman, right? And then you have the corporations. You have the corporations that are, all the bright and everything. This is going to bring us to the level of the CBDC's FedNow starting in July. I say it all the time. Starting in July, the soft launch for FedNow, starting in July. They have the coin that's coming forward. They're working on the coin, and they don't have the coin yet. Our dollar is collapsing. They just gave Joe Biden full, carte blanche, basically, with this debt ceiling, whatever that is. Meanwhile, Lindsey Graham is saying we don't have enough money to give to Ukraine and whatever. So our dollar's collapsing. They're going to put us on the social credit score. These businesses, they know they have to do it. This has become a religion. And this religion the end game of this religion is to replace us, the normies. Thank you, Harry Toe. Have a good evening too. I am wrapping up, guys. It is to replace us. Come on. What am I supposed to say this somewhere another way? They get special privileges. I don't need the government to give me special privileges. Okay, my rights, my humanity is affirmed by God, not by people. But as a whole in society, this conversation that we're having, it's already an attack on one of them somewhere, right? Right. They want to control the speech. They want to control the population, the growth. They want to almost, they want to end our population. I can't see it any other way. Nothing good comes out of this. And they put us in the social credit scores. Miller Lite, Bud Light, all of them, Target, they're all going to do it. It's gone far beyond, little rainbows in June that we were like, all right, whatever, it's the rainbows, whatever. Oh, here we go, corporate pandering. It's not just corporate pandering anymore. There's the evilness behind this to get us into a system, to get us to march in lockstep. And people better be ready, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. But we have to fight. And so, like I said, I'm not going to tell anybody don't boycott, because they like the boycott too. But they like it because it's burning down what we have. And so then, you'll have nothing but be happy. Nope. There's still small businesses that have things. That's what I said in the last video. I said there's small businesses that make IPAs, or, we can figure out there is a parallel economy out here. It takes time. I'm not saying tomorrow you have to be switched to the parallel economy, but it is out there, and it's worth looking at now. More and more every day. It's worth looking at now, because they're trying to pull us out of what we know and give us a quote new reality. And it's now the steps are moving faster. They're moving a lot faster. And so here we are, the kickoff. This is Pride Month, what they call Pride Month. And they took the rainbow. But I'm going to get a shirt, and I'm going to sit with a rainbow on it. And I'm going to say, let's take the rainbow back and remember God's covenant. And that'll be part of Humility Month. And, that's not even for me to say, oh, I'm just going to go against you. No, we need to remember that the rainbow is not for this movement. No, it was God's promise that he wouldn't flood us again. It was God seeing how sinful we got, wiping off too much of the sin and saying, here's your chance now to be better. It's our promise, right? So the rainbow is a beautiful thing, and we'll take it back. Thank you, Harry. Thank you. We'll take it back. We'll take it back. And this is not about being mean. I'm going to take your rainbow. No, we move in a calm, strategic, loving manner, loving with the truth, compassionate truth. That is the most loving thing we can do to people, is tell them the truth. I need to hear constructive criticism myself. I'm working on myself. A lot of things I need to work on. So that's what we'll do. And we'll find ways to do it this month. We'll talk about it this month. But I wanted to go ahead and kind of go on what I felt like was the trip of how we got here and where it looks like we're going in the future. But it doesn't have to be this way. And so let me go ahead and go back to the chat. Man, y'all was saying a lot. I was aggravated free. Well, like I said, yeah, I feel you, Words of Paradise. But like I said, SNH, I don't think gay marriage should be legal, mainly because I don't think marriage should be legal. The government shouldn't be. Yeah, I feel you. Listen, I get it, man. I get it. The more and more, but I see that our government is, our monarchy is doing this. That's what I call it. I laughed at everyone that had monkeypox. It's such an easy STD to stay away from. Stop having unprotected sex with strangers. I have my own theory on my monkeypox, and that theory is on my Rumble, because there was no way I could have it. They would have finally been like, take her whole channel away. Just take it away. The marriage tax breaks were for raising kids, no wonder adoption. Imagine the dispensable income. Yeah, who gets even tax breaks? Taxes. I mean, the inflation that we're in is unprecedented. I feel like, oh my gosh, I learned more than I wanted to know about people and their activities during. I'm like, yeah, I know they did share a lot of activities. I worked at a call center about a decade ago. One of the employees was a 20-year-old man who said his boyfriend was 13. Ooh, jeez. Me and some coworkers beat the ish out of him. Yeah, bring that back, right? Bring that back. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, people don't do things like that anymore. Like, all right, did I just advocate for violence? No, I'm just saying, all right? I'm just saying. Harry told us that Sarah, Burger King made a double or a double top burger. Have mercy. I think they did do that. Oh God, it just doesn't. I don't even know how to turn this train around at this point. We're headed towards pedo acceptance. Acceptance is identifying as a child. Yeah, but we just have, it's going to be a fight because the UN, that's what they want. Why do you think Uganda went as far as they did? The UN wants that. We have to fight. We have to fight. And it starts at home. People, talk to your children. This stuff is happening. And if you don't ask your kids, they're not going to tell you. It's funny. I started asking my niece, like, you got any trans kids in there? Girl went into the whole thing about how this person who identifies as a girl and tried to use the girl's bathroom. But if you don't ask the kids, they're not going to tell you because these kids, they think, then it's not that they think it's normal. It's just that we didn't see that growing up. So immediately we're like, what's going on? But I started talking to her. She started telling me a lot of stuff. And so I had to talk to them and tell them, like, this is not normal and, break it down. Now, I didn't tell them to go get in people's faces. No, you're a kid. You shouldn't even have to deal with these situations. But what you kids need to know is that it's not normal and there's only two genders. Always, no matter how. And kids, but can't you change if you? No, it's scientifically impossible. I had to go scientifically impossible, kept having to say. But yeah. Oh, you think it was a spoof joke? Okay, maybe it was, but I remember that though. Tamale and the Saran wrap. How many are on SSRIs? I don't think as many of them that need to be on SSRIs. Hi everybody, Truth, Pride, and let me see. And the just leave me alone and I will leave you alone don't seem to know how to handle those who don't want to leave others alone. Yeah. And it didn't work. It didn't work. I did see this one already. Oh, Harryto gave me the hearts. He said, Harryto said, buy my shirt. That's the Skittles commercial. See the rainbow, take the rainbow. Okay, I have to go. Love you. Thank you for coming through, Sarah. And words, LOL. And then Jason's word said to Jason, LOL. I go through the whole chat because you guys are so much fun. So anyway, we are wrapping it up. Thank you for coming through. Just thank you guys for coming through. So it was quite the adventure through time. So we got in the DeLorean, we got our flux capacitor together, and we went back in time. And we're back. So all right, I'll see you guys at the next video. Bye.